Am I the asshole for not staying out of adult business and ruining my dad's marriage? Throwaway account because people in the family know my main.
I, 15 female, am in a weird situation and would like an outside perspective.
I am my parents, mom, 37 female, and dad, 42 male, only child together. And I have a stepmom, Eve, 42 female.
From what I was told, my dad and my stepmom were a couple first, but things didn't work out shortly after they had my siblings, and my dad eventually met and married my mom after she discovered that she was pregnant with me. My dad didn't marry Eve, and from what my aunts told me, she was really bitter about that and used my siblings as a weapon to punish my dad and mom. My mom tried her best, but after she found out that my dad and Eve were sleeping together, she filed for divorce. During the marriage, my dad had an established business that grew, and because my mom was able to prove that she had done unpaid labor for my dad's business, my mom had some leverage within the divorce and agreed to relinquish a stake in the company for alimony, the house, and a car for herself while getting child support for me. For the next couple of years, my mom focused on me and going back to school because my dad convinced her to stop while she was taking a break from her studies to save up more money.
She eventually graduated and tried looking for work, but nothing really interested her.
My dad and stepmom, who had gotten married by then, were always angry with my mom for not getting a job so that they would be less alimony to pay, and tried to get 50-50 custody of me to try and reduce child support, but I never liked living with my dad full-time because I was often made to babysit their younger children. My older siblings were never warmed up to me, and I didn't like the way Eve and her family would talk about my mom. Eventually, my mom got certified for a job she wanted and has been an independent contractor for years. Because of this, my mom submitted the paperwork to stop alimony, and she's been living life. Last week when I was with my mom Eve, my sister, Zoe, 20 female, and Eve's sisters were in the living room saying very rude things about my mom. They called her a side piece, a gold digger, and said that my older sister had to take out loans because of the increase in alimony that my mom was awarded.
I walked in and called Eve and Zoe liars, that my mom was never the side piece, and my mom has been working for years, so there was no alimony.
There was a big confrontation and I ended up leaving, but I later sent Eve, Zoe, and one of Eve's sisters a link to my mom's professional social media page that listed the companies she worked for. Turns out my dad never told his family that the alimony payment stopped, and instead of putting the extra money towards them, he's been keeping it for spending it elsewhere. It's crazy over there, and my dad and a few of his family members are saying that I'm wrong for meddling in grown folks' business.
I just hated how they were talking and spreading lies about my mom, but maybe I went about it the wrong way, so am I the asshole? Not the asshole.
Your dad was lying and throwing your mom under the bus in order to keep money from your step-family and let them sit there and slag her off while you're around.
All you did was defend her, and rightfully so. He deserves everything he has coming, and I wouldn't feel bad for people who are happy to talk shit about your mom, either. Not the asshole. You had no way of knowing that dad was lying to his wife and her children. You were defending your mother and her accomplishments.
Eve and crew should have kept their opinions to themselves while you were anywhere nearby. That was freaking rude and uncalled for. Because even if your mother was still collecting alimony, that was a legal decision your dad entered into.
Your father and his other family are the AHS here.
Dad shouldn't be keeping secrets, and his wife and children should be keeping their opinions to themselves. Edit to add. You in no way ruined Eve and Dad's marriage, they did that to themselves.
Instead of putting the extra money towards them, he's been keeping it for spending it elsewhere. I wonder if he is spending his extra money on a third family. He's quite a jerk. Not the asshole.
Man, your dad, stepmom, and siblings are all toxic. It seems like they have some sort of weird resentment against you and your mom for whatever reason. You were just defending your mom's accomplishments, and it seems like they're just extremely jealous, resentful towards that.
Not the asshole. Plus, you didn't ruin your dad and stepmom's relationship, they did that themselves. I'm giving your dad, stepmom, and anyone else that supports them all 3/5 bad guys. I'm giving you 0/5 bad guys. I'm also giving your mom 0/5 bad guys. I mean, what did she do? Not the asshole. When I was a teen, I disliked when adults assumed that the average teen isn't capable of having basic understanding of adult topics. From then on, I've made it a point to hear younger folks out and acknowledge that they're likely smart enough to understand delicate subjects when information is presented appropriately. This is a topic you're capable of understanding, and people spewing lies about your mother is your business.
OMG, not the asshole. All you did was correct your father's lie.
You have nothing to apologize for here. Am I the asshole for leaving my sister's wedding but keeping the bribe I was paid to attend?
My brother is an asshole and has made my life hell since I can remember.
I grey rocked him SC soon as I understood the concept and have been NC with him since he moved out of my parents' house.
My sister was getting married. I checked to see if he was invited. He was.
I RSVP'd my regrets. My sister and parents came by to talk me into attending. I said fuck no.
They promised me that he would be on his best behavior.
I said no. They begged. I said no. They asked if there was anything they could do to convince me to go. I said that if they gave me $1,000 each that I would return if he left me alone. They said no. I said good day.
They came back with $2,000 in an envelope.
I was at the wedding venue with my wife talking to my parents when my brother arrived. He came right over and called me a slur for a homosexual.
My dad's head just dropped.
I took my wife's hand and we went out for a night paid for by my parents and sister.
We were already dressed up, so we had a fancy night out with our phones off.
My parents and sister are furious at my brother. He is mad because my dad told him that he is a child that can't control himself. My brother is mad at me for being a baby and not being able to take a joke.
I really don't care.
$2,000 isn't bablot of money. But it is enough to sting. Now maybe they will listen when I say I do not want to be around him. My mom, however, is mad at me for taking the money. She seems to think I was being paid to out up with his abuse. I have tried explaining that it was more of a bond on his behavior. She won't listen. Am I the asshole for taking the money and leaving? Not the asshole.
Did your brother leave you alone?
No. Was he on his best behavior? Hell no. You kept your end of the bargain.
They didn't.
And I guess we know the parent who enabled your brother all these years. Mom seems to think I was being paid to put up with his abuse.
F off, Mom.
I said that if they gave me $1,000 each that I would return if he left me alone. He didn't leave you alone. You were there and prepared to stay, but
they didn't fill their end of the deal.
They banked on him behaving. He's the one who cost them the money. They should have graciously accepted your decline. Not the asshole.
The deal was $1,000 each and he leaves you alone.
He didn't leave you alone. Maybe your parents need to collect some cash from your brother since he couldn't keep his mouth shut for one evening. Solid, not the asshole. Money if he leaves me alone. Proceeds to immediately not leave you alone. The fuck is wrong with your mom law? Not the asshole. Not the asshole.
They placed a bet that he would behave.
You would have given the money back, hopefully slightly smiling face, if he did. It was wise to leave as his poor behavior could have just continued to escalate as the wedding went on. Not the asshole. You kept your end of the agreement by showing up with the best of intention. Your brother is a childish bully and this ended up costing his parents and sister $2,000. Am I the asshole for telling my fiancé's mom she's clueless and needs to mind her own business? I'm 27 male, engaged to Sienna, 26 female, and we're having some trouble with her mom May. I get along fine with Sienna's family for the most part, even May typically.
But she has always been a little intrusive into my family life and wanting to know details that are really none of her business.
I don't have a close family, or a family at all really.
My mom was a train wreck of a person who destroyed her life when she was previously married by cheating and getting involved with some shady guys, which ended her marriage and caused tension with her 2 kids from her ex-husband.
She ended up pregnant with me and there were 3 guys who could have been the father and none were happy with the situation she made.
When my father was confirmed, she chose another guy instead and my father left the picture. My mom ended up losing custody of me when I was 3 or 4 because she wasn't taking care of me, was letting her boyfriend mistreat me, and they were involved in criminal activities that she had a long history of by that point. Her other children's father was given sole custody of them and he was asked by a social worker to take me.
He initially said no.
Then someone, and I don't know who, told him that his kids would hate him forever if he left me to the system.
So he took me in and let me live with them until I turned 18. But his kids didn't want me and he sure as hell didn't.
So while I had a family, In the sense I grew up with other people in the same house. Nobody actually wanted me there, and it was made very clear to me by my mother's other children that I wasn't their sibling, and they didn't hate their dad for not taking me because they didn't want me. Their father wasn't hostile to me exactly, but he was cold and he made it very clear I was not his kid. By the time I turned 17 I was on my own because he realized his kids had never loved me, and I was dropped with the knowledge that nobody would come for him for leaving me at 17 when I was already working.
I have nothing to do with them now, or my mother, or my father, or extended family. Sienna's from a very complicated blended family.
May appears to have a very defensive view of blended families and being aware somewhat of my past. She has pressured me to reach out and invite my family to my wedding, and to her my family means the man who raised me and his kids. Sienna has told her that won't be happening, and we stopped seeing her for a period of time because of her insistence on bringing it up. May finally decided to tell me I owe her the whole story, and she'll be able to help me make amends with my family because that's what's best for everyone. I told her she was so clueless if she thought things worked that way, and I told her she needs to mind her own business because I don't owe her my whole background. Sienna kicked May out, but not before May told me I had spoken to her harshly when all she was doing was helping.
Am I the asshole? Nope. You're all good, not the asshole.
I hate people who have this weird savior complex when it comes to family. It's annoying and disrespectful to think that the world is a puzzle where everything fits neatly into place.
It doesn't.
Your family are terrible people, and you have absolutely nothing to make amends for.
I would consider going LC or NC with your fiancé's mom for a while. Not the asshole.
Who's May to tell you how to feel? Why do I get the feeling she's not as popular with her own kids that she thinks she is? End of the day up, you are allowed to feel how you do, and no one can try and force you to have a relationship with family members who are clearly abusive to you.
I'd almost reconsider inviting May to your wedding, as I wouldn't put it past her to turn up with your relatives for a surprise reunion. Nope. You are not the asshole, not at all. May needs to mind her business.
Does she think she's Dr. Phil? WTF.
Clueless is the nicest way you could have phrased it. I'm super proud of your fiancé for standing by you. She's not helping, she's meddling. As complicated as your upbringing was, I wouldn't tell her about it.
Don't give her any names or other details, because I wouldn't put it past her to go looking for your family on her own. It's great that your fiancé is pulling in the same direction as you.
Not the asshole. Not the asshole.
May needs to set up an appointment with a proctologist to have major surgery for a bowel obstruction. I.e., she needs to have her head removed from her ass.
She's projecting her own experience and situation on you, when the circumstances are not even remotely comparable.
Yet another example of someone who thinks that they can fix the family relationships as part of a major life event.
It never ends well. Unfortunately, it may reach a point where May needs to be warned that if she persists, she will be disinvited from the wedding. And if she shows up with your father or other family, both she and they will be thrown out. Not the asshole.
Tell me I owe her the whole story. No, you don't, and honestly, if she can't read the room, that's her own fault. There are plenty of people who aren't in your situation or not a part of blended families that don't invite the people who were supposed to raise and support them. If they weren't there for you, then they don't get to be there for you.
An invite to your wedding or into your life is a privilege. Give it to people who deserve it. Am I the asshole for refusing to take care of my sister when our mother passes?
My father expects me to move my sister in and take care of her like a child or something. My sister, 37, is more than capable of getting a job and becoming an adult, but everyone always allowed her to get away with being childish.
She is healthy and mentally all there, just never had a job or license. She lives with our mother, whose health is no longer great. I'm 39 and have 3 kids and work 60+ hours a week. I have no plans or interest in raising or taking care of anyone else. I already take our mother to her DRS and other appointments. I bring her meals and make sure she is taking her meds.
Recently my father asked what I was going to do about my sis when our mother passes. She had a bad health scare and was in the hospital for weeks. He knew I was bringing groceries to my sis and making sure bills were paid while she was in the hospital.
I told him she can live on the streets. He got upset and said I can't do that to her. Told him I have no plans on taking care of any more people. Did that since I was a child. Our mother has mental health issues and his father, our grandfather, lived with us and I took care of him. Cooking meals, cleaning his room and doing his laundry. Told him if he didn't want her to be homeless then he can move her in. His wife won't allow that. He thinks I'm being unreasonable and cruel.
I think she is my problem. But am I the asshole for feeling that way? My father expects me to move my sister in and take care of her like a child or something. My sister, 37, is more than capable of getting a job and becoming an adult, but everyone always allowed her to get away with being childish.
She is healthy and mentally all there, just never had a job or license. She lives with our mother, whose health is no longer great.
Not the asshole. Your father has plenty of time to arrange for an apartment for your sister that he can pay for if he and your mother have enabled her entire life.
Alternatively, he can research the social services she may receive like SNAP benefits, Medicaid and Section 8 and get her wait-listed for public housing if he's worried how and where she'll live if your mother's health continues to deteriorate. Clearest not the asshole I've ever seen on here. She's an able-bodied 37-year-old who has never worked. Tough love is going to have to come for her.
It's a shame it's come so late.
She can get a job and feed herself.
Not your problem.
Not the asshole.
Why should you baby your sister more?
It is too much already, I think, that you bring her food and pay her bills. She should learn to do these things by herself, if she is able to.
Not irresponsible that your family babied your sister to this amount.
Not the asshole. Just make sure your 37-year-old sister knows that she's on her own.
If she is truly a physically and mentally healthy 37-year-old as you say, then I don't even understand why this is a question. Why should it be your responsibility to take care of a perfectly capable adult?
If the story really is as you're telling it, then obviously not the asshole. Obviously not the asshole.
Not in any way your problem, nor your responsibility. Your parents' inability to raise a functional human does not mean you have to step in at this point.
She goes to her father's, grows up, or goes homeless. 3 options for her.